Hello Daz patrons, this is Not From This World and I want to welcome you to my tutorial series. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about something that you may or may not use to the fullest extent, and that's going to be your viewports. If you come up here to the upper right, you'll see a little tab here that you can select, and it's going to give you a bunch of options on how you can view your scene. And this kind of depends on how many cameras you have set up. So you can go from a single view to side-by-side view all the way up to 4 views. And then you can actually select several different types and view them all at once. Now what's really cool about this is it does a couple of things for us. It can, number one, help us pose. And then for me, number 2, I can view all of my cameras or a set of my cameras to see if I like them, to throw them into render queue and render them all up at the same time. So what I want to do is I want to kind of show you how we can pose and then view our cameras. So I have a scene set up here with Milica and I've got 4 cameras. And I've got some spotlights, but I do have it set to sun and sky. So we're going to get a nice kind of sunlight coming through the windows of her apartment here. But I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select our 4 views. And when I do that, you're going to notice that we get each camera, and then we can select what cameras we want. So by default, it gives us a camera that we created, but then it gives us our front view, left view, and perspective view. So what's really cool is I can just come in here and I can select the cameras that I created. So camera 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the reason why I chose these is to fix her hand. You can see her hand has some poke through, and when I simulated the scene, her hand just kind of got in the way of her dress. So what we can do is we can just go to any camera, select her arm, and then we can just start posing her the way that we want to pose her to get rid of any problems that we have. So you can see I can kind of move her hand and repose her. And when I do that, hopefully it will fix any issues that we have with her hands. Her arm on this side is also a little bit messed up. It has some poke through. So I'm just going to adjust this until we have it fixed. Now also, I get this nice preview of the cameras that I will throw into the render with a render queue. And so now I can change these cameras to show different views, and I can kind of get a perspective of all my cameras. So I'm going to just adjust these here, and then we'll be ready to render. So this is a pretty cool thing to play around with. I have to say, I probably don't use this as much as I should, but I do like this preview with all of my cameras. It's pretty cool. Now just to kind of show you some other options here, see, I can select this, and if you need to do more posing, you might choose something like 3 pictures at the bottom and 1 on the top. Just kind of gives you a different aspect of adjustments. You know, you can flip it around and only have 3 cameras. You can adjust your cameras, change the cameras. So this is a pretty cool little tool, and I hope you're using it as much as you possibly can. So something really interesting about these viewports is if you decide to render with this setup, you are actually going to be rendering the size of the picture that you see here. So when you render, you're going to get about a 1/4 size picture, and I'll show you here. I'll just hit a render, and you're going to see that it is this small picture. And this could be an advantage for you if you need some different size pictures. Maybe you're making a comic and you have different pictures that you're going to be adding into a scene, this might be perfect. But for me, I want those large pictures. So if I want the large picture, I'm going to have to make sure that I select the single port again, this single view. And that way when I render, I'm going to be able to render each picture the full size. So that's just something to think about when you are setting this up. So anytime you have one of these other choices selected, that's how it's going to render the picture. So just something to think about. What you see is what will be rendered, which could be really cool, like I said, if you want to make a series of pictures like a comic. So now once I have this, I can just save it, and then I can go back to my single view, and it's just going to be camera number 1. But now I have everything set up so that I can render. What's really cool is I can open up my entire screen and continue to do this. So I can go back to my 4 views and see now they're bigger, and I can really get a good look at each of my cameras. And that's going to help me decide if I have the correct poses, everything's in the right position. Is there anything in my cameras that needs to be moved or adjusted? And then of course the posing. So I hope this helps you. I know for the more advanced user, this is probably something that you know about, but if you're a new user, this may be something that you haven't really checked out yet. So I just thought I would show that to you. I hope you have a nice evening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me some comments. My little channel can only grow if you subscribe, so I really appreciate all your help. Thank you, and happy rendering.